for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I've been talking about pre-crime, Minority Report, this type of, being able to arrest people based on behavior, right? And this also ties into the social scores, that Black Mirror is talking about on Netflix, where they monitor your behavior. It all ties into what we're seeing going on now. And it's not surprising because we know that this is coming, but the TAPS Act, okay, I'm going to play a clip. And listen, I know people like to fast forward through stuff, especially if some people just want to hear my opinion on things. Listen to this clown, this government official, who's talking about the TAPS Act, how, right before some event occurred, he talked about how they could do pre-crime and they could predict this stuff and make sure these types of events were stopped from happening beforehand. It's absolutely ridiculous. The guy's an absolute bore, so if you really can't stand it, fast forward through him. I'm going to talk more about it after. But listen to this and tell me that this isn't frightening.
Mr. Speaker, all of these horrifying events on this non-exhaustive list have something in common. Every single one of these attacks was carried out after someone close to the killer observed and reported concerning behavior to the authorities. The good news is there is something that we can do to fix this. I gave that speech on the floor of the House of Representatives just 12 hours before the tragedy at Santa Fe High School, only 15 miles outside of my congressional district in Texas. Targeted violence has taken the lives of thousands of innocent Americans. This crisis is impacting our country indiscriminately. In the most powerful and innovative nation in the world, there's absolutely no reason that we should not feel safe in our schools, where we work, or the places where we worship, or anywhere else in the community where people gather. Americans want solutions. I believe that we've found one. In 1981, an assassination attempt was made on President Ronald Reagan. The U.S. Secret Service began studying individuals who had either attacked or come close to attacking public officials. That study led to the process of identifying, investigating, assessing, and if necessary, mitigating threats posed by those who may be on a pathway to violence. A process called threat assessment and management, and it works. Since the attack on Reagan, no president has come that close to losing his life. And seeing the merits of this, others, including the FBI and NCIS, put into action their own systems of threat assessment and management. If it works to protect our president and other public figures, why not use it for the rest of us? The problem is that, by and large, this concept is not part of the culture and fabric of contemporary law enforcement, particularly at the state and local level. I want to ensure that if a local entity wants to learn how to use this process, the federal government is equipped to help them. This is where the TAPS Act comes in. This bill establishes a task force of experts who will advise in creating a national strategy aimed at preventing targeted violence by using threat assessment and management. The overall goal is to train and support those who want to use this life-saving method. This strategy will include a program that helps build locally driven threat assessment and management units and a specialized program to protect our schools. The TAPS Act is about connecting the dots before an attack occurs. Let's not forget, law enforcement interacted with the Parkland, Florida school shooter 39 times. Every warning sign was there. They were not missed. It was just a failure to connect the dots. Our local law enforcement does a great job, but for the most part is unaware of this proven system. Folks, when the first shot goes off, it's too late. We have failed. If a local threat assessment and management process had been in place in Parkland, we may not have lost 17 innocent lives that day. It's time that we do something substantive to protect our children and our communities. Instead of politically charged rhetoric, let's work together and use the tools at our disposal. The truth is, we need your help. while those affected by these tragedies continue to be in our thoughts and prayers, now is the time for action. My hope is that every member of Congress would consider the TAPS Act a priority. Together we can connect the dots and save lives.
So this is what the world's come to, right? Minority Report showed us this stuff, and people are going to be begging for it. Because the more that they put out propaganda and they say, listen, you're going to hear this stuff, okay? You're going to hear stories come out about how they've used the TAPS Act. This is the next thing that's going to roll out. It's stopped a massive event from occurring at a specific school. You're going to hear story after story after story, little by little, spread out through time, probably over a year. And it's going to make people, one, get familiar with it, two, become, ooh, that's wonderful, right? Because it's not like, the person who's listening and following the media are just completely oblivious to the government's agenda to take away all our rights. So they hear this stuff and they're like, that's great. There's no Columbine this year. We haven't heard anything this year. And it's not just because they've started to take away gun rights and gun control and ban guns. It's also because of this TAPS Act. And what the TAPS Act pretty much will enable them to do is throw you in jail, me in jail, and anyone they want in jail. For no reason at all other than your behavior. So they could go, well, this guy thinks that this event's fake and the government's got a big conspiracy, and they can make up a story and throw you in a prison cell. And that's exactly what they want this for. It's going to go through. All of this stuff is going to happen. Everybody is submissive to the government's behavior. Everybody is fine with it. Nobody questions anything. Nobody even questions their taxes and what they have to pay. They just keep raising things. Like, oh, okay, what's another 50 cents on my gas? And, all this stuff goes through. Because people are going to go, look, I'm never going to get arrested for the TAPS Act because, I'm not doing crazy stuff. I'm not looking at conspiracies or anything like that. So they're going to allow this stuff to go through and get passed, and then eventually it's going to be used against them when they pretty much want to imprison everyone. But like I've said, they're imprisoning people in their homes already. But this right here, this is just the perfect way for them to flat out arrest whoever they want. This is one of the most dangerous laws that has ever been passed, the TAPS Act. It takes law enforcement screenings to a whole new level. It will create national threat assessment of children and adults. In the course of 6 months, the Threat Assessment Prevention and Safety Act has seen support of the bill grow to nearly 80 Congress members. 80 Freemasons, satanic Freemasons who are, want full control of everyone who think that they're here to be our leaders and our controllers. Politicians, listen, National Threat Assessment Program is potentially the type of thing that should make people citizens of America, make citizens arrests on the police, on our government, to be honest. That's what I think of when I hear this. That they've passed this, and the people that we supposedly elected, I should say, into office, are going to take away your rights based off of behavior and assessing your activity online, which is what they're going to do. They're going to use the internet for it. And then they can use this crystal ball, and they can arrest whoever they dictate's a threat. Then they can roll whatever propaganda they want. Should allow citizens to make citizen arrests. People should be making citizens arrests on government officials who are supporting this, because this is an absolute violation of our rights. That's what it is. It's the crystal ball, right? They're going to decide if you pose a future threat, if your son poses one, if your daughter, your father, your mother, me, you, anyone. We're going to give them that right. Meanwhile, they're the threat. The ones in power are the threat. They're the ones creating these events, and they create these events to strip you of your laws. Or your rights, I should say. To strip us of our rights. To create new laws and strip us of everything. Unbelievable that people will allow this to occur. Hopefully this is one of those things that people push back on. But you know that the only stories you're going to hear aren't going to be stories of, hey, where'd a call for an uprising go? He vanished off the internet. You'll ever hear, of me if I just vanish. Who knows what they'll do? or another YouTuber or whoever is making an impact on people to wake them up. But what you will hear is, oh, thanks to the TAPS Act, there was going to be this event that occurred at a school that we would have lost hundreds. It would have been the biggest event in the history of America. But thanks to the TAPS Act, they arrested this kid, they found all of his blueprints in his home, and then he confessed that he was going to do it, and now he's in jail. Meanwhile, they'll ship him off to Bagelville over there. He'll be playing tiddlywinks in Israel, and they'll be telling you that he's in a jail cell for the rest of his life. And people go, this is great. We need this type of technology. We can use technology to help us in artificial intelligence, and now we're all safe from, all these threats around us. When meanwhile, there are no threats. The ones creating the threats are the people that we need to initiate citizens arrests on, but it's never going to happen. It's scary, really. So, the TAPS Act, folks, make your friends aware, share this information, okay? They might look at it and they might go, oh, what do I care? What am I going to get arrested for? You never know. You never know who you cross. You could cross the wrong person at a bar one day and not know who he is and what power he has, and he could use it against you. People need to get with it and get with it fast. They are stripping us of our rights as citizens. They are destroying the Constitution. And that means they are destroying pretty much, essentially, freedom, which really doesn't exist in reality because this is a matrix that they control. But this type of stuff, you might as well just get the handcuffs ready because they'll be going on all of us. And thank you for listening to today's show. Share this information. God bless all of you and your families.